Most people focus on the severe physical agony of the Roman cross as the peak of Jesus' suffering, but his breaking point actually arrived hours earlier. Long before the nails or the crown of thorns, he entered a quiet garden and faced a psychological weight so heavy it began to pulverize his physical body. He collapsed to the ground, isolated and in terror. While his disciples slept nearby, he spent the night in an agonizing struggle, begging for a mysterious cup to be taken away from him. The sheer distress of that moment triggered a rare medical condition called hematidrosis. This occurs when severe psychological anxiety causes the capillary blood vessels feeding the sweat glands to rupture, mixing deep crimson blood with sweat. Common fear doesn't explain this reaction. While many people have faced execution with steady hands, Jesus' physiology was being dismantled before he was even arrested. He was reacting to an invisible terror far more destructive than the threat of physical pain. To find the source of that terror, we have to look at his location. He had crossed the valley outside the walls of ancient Jerusalem, climbing the slopes of the Mount of Olives. This was a place of retreat. He came here frequently to teach his followers away from the noise of the city. The specific spot he chose that night is called Gethsemane. In the original language, that name translates literally to olive press. In 1st century Judea, a Gethsemane served one specific purpose: extraction. This site was designed to facilitate the exact kind of pressure that was about to be applied to him. The mechanical process begins by gathering the raw olive harvest into woven baskets. Workers mash the fruit into a pulp, stack it up, and apply inescapable pressure using massive stone weights. As the stones are lowered, the sheer mechanical force crushes the pulp until the oil finally seeps out the sides. That night, Jesus was placed inside a spiritual version of this machine, but instead of stone weights, the pressure bearing down on him was the accumulated guilt and shame of all humanity. Under that suffocating pressure, his body reacted exactly like the crushed fruit. The weight literally squeezed the blood from his pores before he ever reached the cross. When he begged for the cup to pass, he was referencing a biblical symbol for divine judgment against sin. Drinking from it meant experiencing absolute separation from the Father for the first time in eternity. While he wrestled with this choice, an armed crowd led by Judas arrived to arrest him with a kiss. He didn't have to go. He stated clearly that he had the power to summon legions of angels, to destroy the mob and end the arrest instantly. He kept that power in check. By offering his hands to the guards, he chose to drink the cup he had just spent the night dreading. While the crucifixion was the site of the execution, the spiritual war was decided in the dirt of the garden. The victory was secured when he finished his prayer with a final concession: "Not my will, but yours be done." That sentence marks the precise moment he accepted the consequences of the world's choices. He chose to bear the weight so that no one else would have to. By the time the temple guards bound his hands and led him away, he had already endured the most brutal part of his mission. The events of that night establish a pattern for the trials we face in our own lives. We all experience Gethsemane moments, those agonizing conflicts where what we want for ourselves clashes with a much harder path we are meant to take. When the pressure becomes suffocating, the natural instinct is to run. But Jesus demonstrated that confronting the weight head-on is the only way to resolve the struggle. Enduring the press is exhausting. But real peace is found not in avoiding the things that crush us, but in deciding to trust the plan that lies on the other side of surrender.